Going into 2021, Ferrari will be hoping a new power unit will bring them better success.
So mechanical issue for Charles Leclerc.
I'm getting to the point now where is it worth it? Is it worth going through this anguish every week?
Hello and welcome back to your F1 comments, the most inconsistent series ever on this channel, probably more consistent than Ben Daly's upload schedule, but it's this series where I go through the top comments of the official F1 highlight videos on YouTube and talk about the sport we all know and love. And that intro bit was literally the very first top comment of day one of testing, and if that's the tone and vibe that we're getting for the rest of this season, I'm here for it. We might actually get past 5 races of this series, or not, knowing me and IRL F1 based content, but we don't need to talk about that. Anyways, 2021 F1 testing conclusions. Mercedes in the mud is what we say every single time, and then Mercedes just come back and slap us in the face and prove us all wrong. But no, genuinely, Mercedes have had an interesting test, a very un-Mercedes-like test. Although one guy reckons they're just having a little bit of a party behind that black screen when they're trying to do repairs on their car. Mercedes really are the kind of team to fool us with all kinds of myriad of issues of gearbox problems or general stability problems. In reality, behind those black screens, they're actually getting the beers in nice and early, or rose water, I guess, at Bahrain, and they're going to rock up at race 1 and lock out the front row by like 0.4 seconds because it always happens, okay? I don't make the rules. Aston looks fire in the sun. Let's actually hope not quite literally in the season, because it was also a very underwhelming look for Aston Martin. Imagine, Seb leaves the shit show that is Ferrari last year, only to arrive at Aston, that used to be Racing Point, the team that always used to do very, very well with the smaller budget and resources, and this is the year they decide to start cocking up. I didn't know Sebastian Vettel was going to become the new Fernando Alonso when it came to awful career decisions. So that's exactly what one of the top comments of day 2 of the testing nodded to, with everyone saying Aston Martin and Mercedes cars, low rake, stable rear means Vettel will shine, surely. FI said, hold my regulations, not on my watch. Mercedes dominated the jokes though in the comments below, as you would imagine. I mean, you gotta get them in when you can, because most of the time you can't crack these jokes about the silver arrows that are not so silver anymore. Most of them pointing out their sandbagging being on another level this year. I mean, when you've got Lewis spinning out and the whole team's on the bottom of the laps completed, there's sandbagging, and then there's whatever Merc are actually doing. I have no clue. One theory was they're acting like that smart kid that never said he was smart, and then he rocks up, and that would genuinely follow the pattern of Mercedes, but they do actually look a little bit ropey. You know, they do need to get that act together. I feel like they're definitely got a quick car, but maybe it's a year where they have another diva on their hands that they need to try and get on top of. Whereas for other teams, it was very much smooth sailing, apart from when there was a sandstorm across the circuit on day 1. Another surprise, and listen, okay, after reading this comment of it being a new feature in the F1 game, I'm actually going to be upset if it doesn't make it in. I want a pre-season part of the career mode where I literally can't put in a lap in because Mercedes sandbags are leaking all over the circuit. And that's literally what someone had to say also on day 1 with their theory about the less than ideal conditions. Day 2 was a bit clearer with the weather and wind at Bahrain, but that didn't stop Ferrari doing the classic thing, spinning. Despite looking better shape, and even the other teams that they obviously power, Alfa Romeo and Haas, looking a little bit better in a straight line these days for this new season, they still brought out the spins in full force, and that triggered the top comment of day 2 being Vettel seeing Sainz spinning in the Ferrari first time. I think at this point it's like a rite of passage, honestly, for Ferrari. I mean, Sainz certainly was getting in the full red mist swing of things and the vibes in day 3 when he crashed into Kimi Raikkonen right at the end of the session, and things didn't get much better for Mercedes in day 2 of testing, with one theory saying that Lewis beaching the car on the gravel was simply because they ran out of sand for those sandbags and needed to collect some more. Toto's just there in the garage taking F1's green initiative very seriously. Now you see, lads, all this sand around the track and in the gravel, we could be doing more to recycle and be green. Come on. Red Bull and AlphaTauri both had a pretty damn smooth testing, apart from one moment where Sergio Perez, he went, here we go, let's give everyone something to talk about, and the car really did deliver a flashing bit of entertainment. But no, Red Bull look solid, like actually for once at the start of the season. They're not really playing catch up with themselves or other teams. They look on it. They look comfortable in those cars. So much so that people were quick to note that whilst everyone was trying to get fastest laps at the end of day 2, they were just doing pit stop training for 30 minutes. They're already practicing 1.2 pit stops, whilst Mercedes were trying just to go that amount of time without a rear end twitch on the car or some sort of issue with their run. Gasly and Yuki already look like a sick pairing, some solid lap times, a lot of mileage for AlphaTauri. McLaren look great despite having a new whole power unit in the back of their car. And the Alpine...
Damn, boy, he's thick, boy! That's a thick-ass boy!
They look good, though. We're not going to body shame F1 cars around here. And the French Alpine really have done some serious work on that car around the side pod area to really get it as tight as possible. And Alonso, well, he stepped into that car. It didn't look like he gone a day without Formula 1. Like I said, the Ferrari-powered Alfa Romeo team looked a little bit better out there. And actually, they might be back in the midfield fight, some are saying. And even Williams showed some promising signs by having some decent Sector 2 times and a much more improved-looking car that actually doesn't look quite like a Motorsport Manager default skin out on track. It still looks a bit questionable, but, you know, it could grow on me and some people. And as for Haas, well, they've literally said they're not upgrading their car this entire season because they're focusing everything on 2022. So, I genuinely don't have much to say about them. I hope Mick can show his true prowess at some point in the season, but it may be a very painful year for Haas F1 team. But the midfield fight, it genuinely seems so hard to call because you've got a lot of variables going around. McLaren had a really smooth testing despite that engine change like we mentioned, but you know that sometimes doesn't tell the full picture and we won't fully know till obviously we get to, you know, that very crucial Q2 and Q3 at the Bahrain Grand Prix. And then with Aston Martin, although yeah, they were underwhelming, out of all the cars on the actual grid, the Aston Martin is actually the car that is the most different because with McLaren they were able to change some things due to, you know, having to house that new Mercedes power unit. But with Aston Martin, with the way the rules are, they've actually been able to change a lot of the actual foundational chassis structure of their car without using those precious tokens that a lot of people have had to use because they used, well, it was a carbon copy of the 2019 Mercedes, and there's a rule from into this year that you can upgrade them to the 2020 spec without using tokens that obviously all the teams have to use this year due to the new way the regulations were going to go into this one with the freezing, the cut floor, and the token system to make sure the costs were down for this year due to the COVID pandemic. So honestly, just maybe a case of niggling, teething issues. It's only 3 days of testing compared to what we've had in the past for at least 6 days. So perhaps Aston Martin may just be perhaps Aston Martin is still just going to be stumbling out of the blocks a bit, but once they find their feet, they may be looking good with a much different car compared to their competitors. And then it's the same thing with Mercedes, and you know, we made jokes about it, but it's the reality of, although they may be struggling now, we've seen in the past when they've had diva cars, they very much got on top of those very quickly within a few rounds. But definitely is very interesting. Maybe this might be the year where Red Bull can actually hit the ground running and actually take advantage of this situation, maybe with Mercedes that's unfolding in front of our eyes, because that's it. Testing's over, and Red Bull are feeling comfortable. Mercedes may not, so this is the best chance, I think, for Verstappen, even Perez, and just that Red Bull team to actually get a load of points over Mercedes if they are, in fact, going to have niggling issues throughout the weekend. Like, if, you know, if they have the same gearbox issues they had in day one of testing, or they had, you know, offs or whatever in the race weekend, that's it. You know, in the race weekend, that, you know, it's time to shine. There's no more practice to do apart from obviously Friday, but even that's very, very limited. Even Friday practice has been cut down for this year compared to last, so there's even less room to hide. And at the end of day 3, Yuki and the AlphaTauri looked very, very rapid, and as I said, Alpine have looked very good and aggressive with the way they're going with their car. So there's a lot of unknown variables, and it could be just as tight, if not tighter, because of this 3 testing window. It just means that the teams have done less homework, which is better for us as fans, because then, you know, every single time these teams get less homework to do, whether it be, you know, washed out free practice due to rain or whatnot, you always end up having better races. And so I really honestly think the first few rounds, especially of this new season, are actually going to be quite scintillating, is the word to use. I for one can't believe we're nearly at race 1 now. 2 weeks to go and the Bahrain Grand Prix would have happened by now, which is mental. 3 days of testing, not a lot of time. it's very hard to tell what's going on, which should make that first round and the first couple of rounds really very, very intriguing for the top teams, the midfield fight, and even that bottom one with Williams as well. I can't wait. I'm sure you all can't. So if you did enjoy this video, be sure to smash that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below of testing and also this series coming back. And I'd love to genuinely get your thoughts, guys, of what you want to see from me in terms of IRL F1 content. I always kind of find it difficult knowing exactly what you guys might want to see based off the real life actual F1 and sport we love. So let me know in the comments below if you have any ideas. And yeah, even though I joked about it, I will hopefully be doing more than like 5 of these episodes for the races or just some sort of different content revolving around the Grand Prix. But if you are new around here, do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been aarava. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.